Hello. Hi, so my name is Relay and welcome to TEDxBUV, an installment of TED. Ideas Worth Spreading, which also stands for Technology, Entertainment, and Design. So I'm here to talk about being a comedian. And you might be wondering, a comedian? What is this, a joke? Do I have an idea worth spreading? The answer is, I don't know. Surprise. But I'm gonna try because I'm already here. And if there's one thing you should know about us comedians is that we don't give up. Think about all the movies you've watched. There's a structure to that story. The hero or the protagonist usually face a really difficult, insurmountable quest. But with courage and strength, they triumph at the end. You win. Happy ending. For comedians, we don't win. In a comedic storyline, the comedian is also tasked with a challenge that he's in way over his head for. And I'm not a hero. Look at me. My eyes are basically one-liners. And this serves as a perfect punchline for the bullies. Those are jokes, I'm a comedian. But in a comedy, our main characters are destined to fail. But they persevere. Through the laughter and the mockery of onlookers, they try their hardest with grit, tenacity, vulnerability, and the audacity to be authentic. In the end, they always fail, hilariously, but they never give up. So I'm very used to getting laughter. Not right now, but I'm also getting used to getting laughed at. If you work in entertainment, you probably notice there's one place you should never look at. The comment section on YouTube. Now, I didn't translate these comments, but if you don't know Vietnamese, just imagine the casual, normal, mean comments on YouTube. Most of them have to do with mothers. I don't know why. I haven't done my research on that yet. And when you read these comments, as a normal and sane person, of course you would feel something. For me, the emotion was fear, because I was bullied over my junior high school years, and I was still afraid. And I was afraid that I was different. I was stupid, lame, and just not good enough. So whenever I would read a hateful or judging comment, that fear instantly comes back. I was reminded of that shame. But I think we have all been ashamed at one point in our lives, right? As I grow up, I start to realize something. We're all different, aren't we? Nobody is the same. I mean, yeah, there's a few of us that is same but different, but we all have our quirks, the little things that makes you, you. Our differences make us unique characters. And why would anyone have a problem with that? What's up with the bullies? Why can't they accept that other people are unique? Why would it bother them? Now, I'm not a psychologist. I'm a comedian. But I want to guess. And I think if you're bothered by how someone is different from you, it's not their problem, it might be yours. Whenever I see a bully, offline or online, I don't see someone who's strong and self-sufficient. I see insecurity. Bullies bully not because they're strong, but maybe because they feel weak. And all these negative comments online, on the hate, I mean, there are like hundreds of them. It could reflect something much deeper. So I recently came across a word that I like, which is vulnerability. Now, when we think vulnerability, we think weakness. Vulnerability for most of us means weak, incompetent, unable. Being part of the LGBT community in the earlier days, I was feeling the same. There was the stigma, the misconceptions, and the discrimination. But when vulnerability is viewed as a weakness, it becomes insecurity. It becomes shame. Shame that you are not good enough, that you will never fit in, that it's not that you made a mistake, but you are a mistake. What I didn't know was that every kid around me was feeling a version of the same issue. Let's look at everyone here. Come on. A lot of guys and girls, but I'm pretty sure some of the girls would feel that they're not pretty enough at some point in their life. And that's ridiculous. Look at you guys. And some boys would feel like they need to man up and be more macho or whatever. Or a student would feel that good grades would define who they are or what they can be in the future, etc. I came across Dr. Bernays Brown's studies a while ago, and she also spoke on TED. I think you should check it out. Wonderful speeches. What she said really struck me. Vulnerability is the birthplace of love, belonging, joy, courage, empathy, and creativity. It is also the source of hope, empathy, accountability, and authenticity. Interesting. So vulnerability isn't weakness, isn't it? It's actually the courage to accept our own imperfections. And I don't think bullies can do this. Think about it. Are the bullies really as strong as they seem? Are the keyboard heroes really heroic? Or are they just trying to cover up their insecurities by blaming it on someone else? Because blame is simply the discharge of discomfort and pain. A lot of us here have been bullied by someone at some point. A lot of us here were also bullies at some point. And I'm no exception to that rule. I was bullied in junior high school, sure. But when I got into a good high school, I started to pick on the kids who didn't get in. Or when I get into university, I started to patronize people, like people from the countryside, for example, for not knowing the stuff that I know. That's not good. I think those microaggressions actually say something about our sense of self. It makes us feel better momentarily, like we're more powerful, like we're in control, like we're better than other people, but it's never sustainable. And I believe we're living in an era of a pandemic. And I'm not talking about COVID. I'm talking about narcissism. So narcissism is a fancy word for selfishness and entitlement. You've probably met a few of those people in your life. The people who act like they're the most important people in the room, who always seek attention, who are always preoccupied with how other people see them. And they think whenever something goes wrong, it's because of somebody else. It's because of the world. The world is against me and humanity is to blame me. Grow up. If you ask me, why do people discriminate and hate? I think it's because they don't accept their vulnerability. Insecure people build a wall, a facade. They show us what they want us to see. But deep inside, it's just insecurity. The more we try to build that wall, the more detached we are from our core values. And if we keep going for that shortcut, we will slowly fall prey to narcissism. About the types of hate that I've heard about, like body shaming or toxic masculinity, homophobia, sexism, racism, all that ism. I believe it all stems from the same source. And this narcissism, this entitlement, it can go both ways. One can either believe that they're better than the world, or believe that the whole world is against them. They can start to think, I have no problems, just other people are crazy. Or we tell ourselves, my problems are the biggest and no one suffers more than me. I think I've told the line between the extremes. So I realized something quite important. I'm very weak. There was no denying it. I tried to build a wall, it didn't work for me, and everyone made me feel inferior. So when I hit that rock bottom, it was impossible to deny my own vulnerability. I was not going to be the perfect son, getting all the A+ and also good at physical education, and I'm also good looking and popular. No. I was also coming to terms with my own sexuality and how it went against my sense of self, my family values, and what society dubbed correct. Everything around me was telling me that you're not good enough. So I accepted it. I'm not good enough for you. And I accepted that I was not going to be good enough. I would never be. For those standards. That's it. Believe it or not, the moment that happened, everything got better for me. Because accepting my vulnerability enabled me to open my heart. I stopped caring about my wall. I let my guard down. I didn't have the time or the attention to protect my image anymore because there wasn't a good image to begin with anyway. I guess the good thing about hitting rock bottom is you can only go up. And when I let my guard down, I started to open my mouth to say what's on my mind. You see, one of the biggest insecurities that I had as a child was I had uneven legs. You can't see it now, but I did. And I was walking with a limp all the time. And I was so insecure about it that when I decided to tell my best friend in high school, I was so afraid. But then she said, wait, I feel that too, but not from the legs, from something else that I have. Oh, so we're both insecure and it's safe to share it. And that's when I started to realize, as I let my guard down, people started to see me for who I am, all parts of it. I started to find real connections, and I started to build myself up. I started to see things I do well, like English, for example. Hopefully, through this speech, I'm still trying to pronounce things correctly. And I started writing, little journals on Facebook, and people actually followed. Then I started doing stand-up comedy. I still remember one of the first jokes that I wrote on stand-up stage was, I have uneven legs. So it took me years to stop walking in a circle. The doctor said I would never do stand-up. But he just never walked in my shoes, my New Balance shoes. Okay, those are from 5 years ago, so they're not that great. But when I say these jokes on stage, I felt empowered because those things, the things that I was once so insecure about, is now accepted. It's now apparently funny. And for the first time in my life, I felt confident. When I got the first prize in a comedy competition, I felt proud of myself. And that's when I started to understand what self-love means. You probably hear that buzzword, self-love, a lot. You also hear that narcissists are people who love themselves too much. So that's why you're in this uncanny valley of like, I want to love myself, but maybe not too much. But let's draw the line there. Narcissism is not self-love. I don't think so. People who are deeply insecure will always try to prove to others that they're not. But that's not self-love. That's not self-sufficiency. Because as I started my journey as a comedian, I've already decided that I will fail. And that failing would be funny for others to watch. I also learned to respect myself because I'm a person of the LGBT community. I can say that. But I'm also many other things. We cannot reduce people to just being someone. Just a comedian, just a woman, just a person of color, just a religion. We don't need a label to treat people or to be respected. We can all be authentically ourselves. And to find that audacity, we need to go on the hard journey. No shortcuts. Because I believe self-love is not automatic. It has to be earned. So now whenever I see a bully, I don't feel afraid. I see the fear and anger in them because they haven't got a chance to express themselves. I see people who blame because they have neglected themselves for too long. But I'm not a psychologist. I'm a comedian. So I replied to a comment. So he said I was uneducated and I sent him my CV. Also, I asked him to leave his mother alone. I guess next time if you meet someone different and it triggers you, just ask yourself, why do I care? What's making me tick? Because I truly believe when we have learned to love ourselves, we will have no issue embracing the differences. And I think that is an idea worth spreading. Thank you.